This video is going to be a mock draft based upon the Seattle Seahawks choices and options that are going to be out there in a draft that increasingly I think they have the opportunity to hit a home run, hit multiple home runs, in fact, sitting on pick 18 and then 50, 52, 82, 92. Really an opportunity to double up twice, if you will. Their needs, I think, are quite obvious. Improve the quality and the depth on the offensive line, tackle, and guard. I look at a guy like a Luther Burden at wide receiver being available at 18, and just it's difficult for me to hit the button and pass on him, to be honest with you. He's a player that I think has all pro talent, and I think he's a top 12 potential guy in this draft, if you ask me. If you were to pair him with a JSN and a Cooper Cup, I think you've got a great situation if you ask me, but I understand Seattle has committed time and resources to Jake Bobo and MVS and the style of offense that they're going to play there with Kubiak. Perhaps Burden is not the fit, but he's just a spectacular football player, if you ask me. So what we'll do here is I'll go through the picks one by one and show you the choices or the options that I had. I did complete this mock draft for the Ravens, Lions, and the Seahawks at the same time, so you will probably hear me flipping through some papers. Forgive me for that. But let's get started with the first one. I did have multiple choices here. Gray Zabel is on the board. So is Luther Burden. I ended up taking Kelvin Banks. Tyler Warren is there as well. I was prompted for a trade at 18 by the Denver Broncos, and so that's what I did. I took a trade. I traded back to and recouped an additional pick later on in the fourth round. You can see it at the bottom, pick 122. I took Banks despite my affinity for Luther Burden. Mike Green is also on the board as well as a pass rusher. I think that there's some superb talent for Seattle to take at 18. I would have no problem if they take a position player. In my opinion, the opportunity to get a guy like a Gray Zabel, that might be the pick. Someone who can play tackle and or guard pending injuries or the situation during the year if another player is struggling. I think he's got that kind of versatility. Looking at the roster and what's there from a guard standpoint, possibly could have been the choice there. Feel free to substitute if you wish. Kelvin Banks, for me, is a guy that belongs in the spot where I have selected him here. I don't think he's someone who should be falling on draft boards like he apparently is at this point. But in any case, those were some of the choices or the options that I considered leading up to this pick at pick 20, which again recouped an additional pick in this draft. So the interesting part for me, maybe pick 20 is not exciting for you as a Seahawks fan. There's no problem there. For me, the thing I'm looking forward to the most in this draft is this situation here, picks 50 and 52. It's all dependent upon what Seattle and John Schneider do at pick 18 or pick 20 in this scenario that I've presented here. There's just so many options here at 50 and 52. If you didn't go with a guy like Banks or an offensive lineman, you're going to have a lot of choices. You can see some of them flowing through here on the left-hand side. I should have prefaced it already. Those are players who are available at the interior offensive line and then the corner position. I've tailored the guys who are available based upon who I've already selected. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. So having taken a tackle already, a Kelvin Banks, you see that Jonas Avenea, Tate Radledge, and others at interior offensive line are there. I'm a huge fan of Trey Amos. I got to be honest with you. This is a remarkable situation in Seattle for what Schneider has already from a talent standpoint, and then what they can build. I added another pick here at 122 with the trade back with Denver. You certainly have talent at corner and safety. I do have Seattle taking a corner in this draft and a safety. I think you'll be happy with the players that I select. Perhaps not this one. I recognize that's the case. But my mentality here was I wanted to get the best player that I possibly could at a position that I think could be of need for Seattle. And when I look at the corner position, what they have with Reekwool, and certainly Devin Witherspoon is going to play some outside corner in base situations. He's got to be on the field. I get it. I really like Trey Amos's game. I think he's very versatile. I think he's got exactly what Mike McDonald wants, the ability to play multiple coverages and change the coverage call at the last minute. And so for that reason, and that reason primarily, I picked Trey Amos here at pick 50, and keeping in mind that there's another pick coming up one selection later for Seattle, and that pick is a guy that I think you'll enjoy as well, and it's Jonas Savinea, the guy who played guard and tackle during his career at Arizona. I really like Marcus Bow or Marcus Mbow, and I think he could be the choice here as well if you wanted to go interior offensive line. To me, Marcus Mbao, or Bao, is more athletic. He's quicker, probably better in a zone scheme than Savanea. I think Savanea is going to be a guard, and that's why he's listed here at interior offensive lineman from the NFL mock draft database site, and that's why I am applying him as a guard as well. So for me at pick 50, I picked Trey Amos. And having said that, I do want to kind of self-publicize a little bit and talk about something that I have done that I will make available to you guys probably in the course of this video. I'll just share the link out, and this is essentially my draft document. My focus was to try to get 100 players broken down, evaluated, if you will, and you can see some of them flowing through on the screen. Anyone that's blue there is a hyperlink and would have film associated with it. I'm not going to show the film here. I don't put college film on my YouTube channel for obvious reasons, but in any case, I'm not going to make it to 100 players broken down. The players will be available, like you see there for Braden Swinson. You'd be able to click on either one of those plays that are labeled, be a short description for the play, and you can see the actual play that hopefully lines up with my evaluation of that player, in this case, Braden Swinson. But you can see anyone who's blue there. I think at this point I've got like 73 guys broken down with film in their folder, which is a part of my Google Drive. I'll just make it available for free. I mean, it technically has been a part of my Patreon for about a month, but in any case, that's what I've been doing. And why I haven't been producing a ton of content on my YouTube channel is because I've been trying to get done as many of those players to educate myself on the options that are there for the Ravens, Lions, and the Seahawks. So as we move forward to this really another opportunity to double up for the Seahawks front office. And I couldn't pass on a guy like Harold Fanning Jr. Mbao is still there, by the way, and you'll see some players flow through on the left-hand side, which is kind of interesting to me. If their simulations in Seattle indicate that a guy like Marcus Mbao would be available at 82, maybe they don't go interior offensive line at 52. Maybe they've gone Gray Zabel at 20, and they feel like they've addressed tackle and interior offensive line at the same time. That's certainly a possibility there. Harold Fanning Jr. is extremely enticing talent, if you ask me. I don't even know that he'll be on the board at 82. I'm not sure that he really gets out of the second round at this point. If you haven't seen his film, like I said, I'll share the link. You can go find it in the folders. It's in my tight end folder. I think I've got about 35 plays broken down of his. He dominated. He basically annihilated Penn State. He also had 8 catches for 1 touchdown against Texas A&M. I think I've got 2 other games broken down in that folder. Having taken Banks and Savanea already to reinforce the offensive line just really at this point means I think you can go with the best player available at a position of need. That's why I went corner early. You may say, well, Coach, I don't like that pick at 50, Trey Amos, because we've got 2 starting corners, Woolen and Witherspoon. I think we know that there's going to be a lot of 11 personnel. If you have a good season in Seattle, you're going to face a lot of 11 personnel because you're going to force teams to throw the ball a lot. That's the idea in Mike McDonald's defense. So Witherspoon's going to be kicked down to nickel or slot corner often, and you need another outside corner. I'm not sure that Pritchett or Josh Joby is the guy out there. I think Amos is an upgrade over both of those guys, but I could be wrong. In any case, Fanning is a tight end with great receiving potential. I believe he had 117 catches last year and 10 touchdowns. It's truly remarkable the skill level that he has. Hybrid tight end / receiver. You can kick him out there at outside X. He can win some matchups and basically force the defense to declare what their coverage is. I think Fanning can be a guy that can have an impact in his rookie year in the pass game if he's in the right situation. You have this versatility to take a player like a Fanning, who 1 year ago really no one knew the name of in terms of his draft potential being a round 2 guy. You may not like his game. Let me rephrase that. If you haven't watched the film, you may not like his game. Go watch the film in the link that I'll provide. And I'll put up folder links for each of these players in the comment section. You're welcome to check it out. Again, it's free of charge. It's part of my Patreon for the last month. But at this point, getting so close to the draft, I want to make it available for as many people as possible. So moving on to pick 92, I selected Andrew Makuba, who is a wonderful safety from Texas. I think he led the SEC with 5 interceptions last year. Instinctive. Actually, I don't really like the word instinctive. I think he's super smart and prepared, gets in the right spot. He's got a great burst, closes down on routes, on shorter route concepts and intermediate routes. I've got 26 plays, I think, of his broken down in the folder, so you're welcome to check those out, one of which is a ridiculous interception against Georgia this past year, I think in the SEC title game. So doubling up twice being able to reinforce the defense and the offense, interior offensive line and tight end on the offensive side, and then Trey Amos and Andrew Makuba, I think is a huge infusion of talent for this team. I think Seattle was the team that could put up you're going to have to forgive me for this comparison here or this analogy, a 49ers type draft. And so last year in 2024, I think the 49ers had one of the best drafts in the league, if not the best overall, because of how many high quality players they were able to select and how many of those guys had an impact already in year one. I think Seattle's got an opportunity with 50 and 52 and 82 and 92 to do the same thing. Not even mentioning pick 18, it really reminds me of not just the 49ers draft from last year, but the Detroit Lions draft from 2022 when they took Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. Hendon Hooker was their quarterback, the fifth guy that they drafted. I think they had 5 selections in like the top 47, somewhere in that range. It doesn't necessarily translate here for Seattle. You've only got 3 of the top 52 only, I say. And in this case, I'm trying to add as much talent as possible to the roster in a manner that those guys will contribute in year one, but also provide cheap production over the course of their 4 year contract, their initial contract in Seattle. So I had other options here at 92 that I really liked, to be honest with you. Zy Frazier, the corner from UTSA. Obviously, there's a compelling story there. The comparisons with him and Reek Woolen, they're both 6'3". They both run the 4.3. Both went to the same school. Changed positions from receiver to corner. I've already taken Trey Amos, so I didn't feel like I needed to do that. Plot twist: I will take a corner a little bit later who's very talented and gifted, and a little bit different type of player maybe than a Woolen or a Frazier. So moving forward, that was my pick at 92. And when I get to pick 122, it's a throwaway, I guess some would say, but it's an additional. I want to reinforce the offensive line even more. I really like Emory Jones from LSU. He's a tackle who I think clearly could move down and kick down to play guard. But when I made that pick at 122, to be honest with you, Anthony Belton is still on the board, a developmental tackle from NC State. Frazier was still there as well, having already added, and a couple of backup quarterbacks are on the board as well. I don't think Seattle's in the market for that at this point. You'll have to let me know if you enjoyed or would have a problem with Seattle trading back to 20. I don't think any fan base wants their team to trade out of the first round. But if you're able to move back 2 spots and recoup an extra fourth round pick, get the guy or a guy that you still wanted, in this case Banks, but Gray's Abel was on the board in both of those situations, and so was Luther Burden as well. I think it's a no-brainer to do, especially when you're operating from a position of strength already. Seahawks have a good football team. They have an offensive coordinator who's going to be able to run the system. He's got some familiarity with Sam Darnold. So he knows what he needs: an improved offensive line. He needs an offensive line that can execute and get the things done to create as many 2nd and 4s, 2nd and 5s as possible, and put Sam Darnold in known situations where he can come up to the line, identify the defensive front, defensive look, and either run the play that has been called or check into something else that he thinks is more dangerous that's going to exploit what the defense is set up in. And the only way you really get that done, I think, consistently at NFL level, you have to have a high-level offensive line. The pieces are already there: running back, receiver. In my opinion, I am very enticed, like I said, to take Luther Burden at 18, or in this case, 20. You may not be, so that's no problem. The final guy here to talk about, all the way down at 137, this isn't a complete draft for Seattle, only really going through the first 4 rounds, is Noah Williams. He has 7 interceptions for Cal last year. Super smart, intelligent player. I think is 6'2", 199, 200 pounds. Very smart, in the right place at the right time. And to be able to get another corner to add to the depth. You may say, Coach, I don't think we need a corner at this point, having taken Trey Amos. It's fine with me if you think my evaluation of what the Seahawks need is overstated at the DB position. Having watched Josh Jobe or Joby play last year, I wasn't thrilled to think about him being on the field a ton in playoff situations in 2025. That's the goal, right? You want to get in a playoff situation. I think Trey Amos is an upgrade over him, and probably over Nehemiah Pritchett as well, who's an athletic corner that didn't really get much time last year. In any case, this is my draft, my probably final mock draft for the Seahawks. I feel like it's a really good haul of players, but I recognize there might be individual guys that you want to pick apart and substitute for starting with, Kelvin Banks at 20. Gray Zabel would be the guy that provides a little bit more versatility from an experience standpoint. It's quite clear that Zabel will be moving to interior offensive line pending the team that selects him. If he goes to a team that has for example, Baltimore Ravens, if they were fortunate enough to get a Gray Zabel, he would probably kick in and start at left guard. But because of the injury history of Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, he could also be a backup tackle in the event that someone like a Stanley was to go down. I don't know that that necessarily fits with Seattle for who they have at the tackle position, but look, just harken back 1 year, how many injuries they dealt with on the offensive line. Gray Zabel could possibly fit better than a Kelvin Banks because of that versatility. Some of these other selections I kind of glossed over. Savanea is a guy that I think he can't start from day one. Looks like a quality guy who, if you had to put into the game in a during the season anytime because a starter was injured, I think Savanea can get the job done. He's competent. He's got some ability. Large human being, really good on the backside of zone concepts, at just riding a defensive tackle or an inside linebacker out of there. Essentially, he's really good on combo schemes, and that's one of the reasons why I picked him here to fit in the Kubiak offense. If you're interested, I have considered doing a film study on the Kubiak offense. It's been a long time coming. I probably have about 60 plays saved up. Won't get to all of them. But in any case, I would consider getting that done if you guys would be interested in that after the draft. If you listen this long, first of all, thank you very much. Second of all, let me know what you think of the selections that I provided here for the Seahawks to improve their depth and the quality of their team, hopefully immediately. And then third of all, check out the comment section. I will put up in the description. I will put up the link to my Google Drive folder where I have all these players broken down. And then also I'll put that in the comments section as well. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy this mock draft approximately 1 week before the actual draft, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.